Hey YouTube, so in this video I'm going to be moving on now to the Phantom Revenger build. Different from the Raging form. So this one is the one that most people, I guess, that have been playing the game during the Stride format when it came out. This deck, usually it was Mordred Phantom and the Legion Abyss. So this deck has been around for a very long time with some slight changes in different builds. For a while I was running 2 Mordred, 2 Drag Ruler, and 4 Abyss. So in this revision or revised build, to take advantage of some of the new cards that they got, I just went with 4 Drag Rulers, so no more Cross Break Ride, no more Mordred Phantom. Mordred Phantom is still a pretty good card. The Break Ride is still pretty good, but in Stride format what I found is that it's not the big Mordred Legion Break Ride and Legion play is not as great as it used to be. It's still relatively strong, but it's a little bit slow unless you allow yourself to take so much damage early, or unless you're able to tutor the Limit Break Enabler to the field and go off there. But sometimes you just need to hold out because you'll waste that big effect of the strong Legion Vanguard with the plus 10k from Mordred. If you go too early, like if you use the Limit Break Enabler. So I feel like Mordred's not really necessary right now, at least not in the current format. So I took him out completely and just went with all Drag Ruler. Drag Ruler, I mean, there's different builds you can still do. If you only have Mordred, you can run the Mordred build. But I decided to change it up. So it's Drag Ruler, because Drag Ruler can take advantage of the ability of the new cards that call additional grade 1s out. So you can potentially deal them 2 damage and he'll be plus 20k. So there's that play, and then there's your typical Phantom Abyss play, which still exists. So this card surprisingly has been relevant for so long. It's probably one of the most, it's had the most success. It rivals Dragonic Overlord at the end in terms of like how good that card is. Next, for grade 2s, obviously the 4 Legion Mate, Blaster's Arc Revenger Abyss. He's just really good. Legion Mate with Phantom Blaster Abyss. Whoops. So one of the best Legions, and he's one of the best Legion Mates because his effect is really good. When he's placed on R, Counterblast 1. As soon as you have a Revenger Vanguard, Counterblast 1, retire one of your opponent's grade 1 or less. So he's known for killing starters. This deck essentially, like, when it first came out, I feel like it shut down Blau completely, because Morgenrot would just straight up die instantly. So, really good. Still a really good card. And all those people running GB1 starters just hate going against this deck because of that card. Next, we have 4 mana. Wily Revenger Mana. She calls out the Limit Break Enabler for free, or anything you need, really, for free, so your effects can all go off that turn. Really, really good card with Drag Ruler and the Limit Break Enabler to deal the opponent some early damage. And with the new cards, you can essentially do the effect multiple times. New card, one of them being this guy. So, Revenger Dark Bless Angel. It's the main card that allows you to, when it gets retired, whether it's Drag Ruler, usually it's Drag Ruler, to use this effect optimally, or you can also use it with Abyss. You can call a grade 1 with Revenger and call to R. Reason why it doesn't work as good with Abyss is because the card that you call at the end of the turn gets retired at the end of the turn. So it's best to use this with Drag Ruler so you can deal 2 damage. So for example, you have one of these on the field. You have Drag Ruler, you call mana, mana can call Limit Break Enabler, unless you already have Limit Break, so you just call whatever. You can call like a Trumpeteer or something. And then you can use, so basically you have a full field, you can, during the main phase, you can retire mana and that thing, or no, you retire this and something, and then he calls something else, and then you can retire 2 more, that card that he calls, or she calls, and something else, and you deal the opponent a total of 2 damage, and he gains plus 10,000, plus 20,000. That's because he doesn't have a once per turn restriction, which is quite interesting. So, Drag Ruler, you can also combine him with Raging Form. I talked about in the previous video. I just like him in here with Abyss because both of them have Phantom in the name, so they can benefit from using Judgebau as the starter and stuff like that. Whereas Raging Form is like a non-Phantom build. So I put him with Paradeer. But you can do whatever you want. Essentially, as long as you have these cards, you can just combine them. The Revengers are just a very good archetype. Next, for grade 1s, we got the 4 McLear, Dark Revenger McLear. It doesn't really matter what Perfect Guard you run. I just have the Revenger ones in here and never bothered to change them. But yeah, the Revenger ones are a pretty solid pick. Next, 2 Revenger of Vigor Moir. He basically, when he's placed on R, you can search, and you have Revenger Vanguard, you can search a grade 3, or basically a card that's on your Vanguard circle. So, the nice thing about him is what I've actually found in playtesting him in here with Abyss, is that he can search either of them if they're already in Legion. So in late game, let's say you can't stride because you don't have a grade 3. So for this turn to set up, you can call him and you can either get this if you want to stride next turn, or if they have something that's really annoying that you want to get rid of, you can get Abyss, and then you can use Abyss, or you can use Blaster Revenger or Blaster Dark to retire their cards. So a very good support card that they got. It's a little bit overlooked in this deck because people feel like it's not needed. So this, for me, actually replaced Swordbreaker. Swordbreaker's actually not in here anymore. He's actually in another deck now, which I'll be showcasing in the future. Because I feel like Swordbreaker can benefit the other deck just based off of the build. And often when you draw into Swordbreaker with this deck, he's really garbage in the hand, so that's why I got rid of him. But yeah, he's still a pretty good card if you can pull off that Judgebau combo. Next, 2 Revenger Darkbond Trumpeteer. It's really essential in the deck still because sometimes you just need that extra retire target. It works really well with Drag Ruler and with this card, so there's no reason not to run it. 2 and 2, and then 2 of the Limit Break Enabler. You can get away with running 2 of each of them because mana can tutor any of them, whichever one you need. And then this could potentially change, but I still stuck with 4 Transient Revenger Masquerade, mainly because he's a really nice rush card, just allowing Revengers to be able to get that early game rush. They can like swing to 9k grade 2s in the same column, and either force guard from the opponent early, or so in that way they'll have less shield in hand, like when you stride and stuff like that. So it's still a relatively solid card to use as a rush target. Otherwise, you could potentially bump this guy to 3, or even bump this to 3, and then drop him to 3. But I feel like 4 of this is still really solid. For the zeros, trigger lineup, it didn't change at all. So 4 draw, 8 critical, and 4 heal. All Revengers, and then Judgebau still a starter. No reason to really change it. Now everything is 100% Revenger, so none of that Swordbreaker play, but I mean, the deck is still really, really strong without it. For the Stride deck, it's the same exact one as the Raging Form deck. So 1 True Revenger Drag Ruler Phantom. He's just really good to help set up the field, correct the field if you need a particular grade 1, whether it's the Limit Break Enabler or whatever you need, really, in terms of the grade 1s. And next, 1 Grim Recruiter. Because really, I found that you almost never stride Drag Ruler more than once. You'll need to go into other more powerful things after the first stride. So these are usually my first stride targets. Sometimes I just go into Grim Recruiter because I do not have the target or the card that I want to retire for him. So it just gives you the options. And then another really great first stride is also Aura Geyser, still in here. These are like usually the first stride targets. And then the only other unit is the 4 Diablo from the Legend deck. So, very straightforward Revenger deck. Probably the least interesting, I would say, out of all the Shadow Paladin decks that I've built. So, it was relatively simple. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Let me know in the comments any kind of weird combos you may have discovered that I may not know about. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.